Welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. This is the case of the Idaho quadruple murders. May the 4 victims rest in peace. Justice for their families. May the correct justice be served. One of the officers involved in this case is being investigated by the Internal Affairs team. The prosecutor had to report that so that a fair trial would be conducted. It is a Brady gigolo offense.
Prosecutors building a case against the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students have told a judge that one of the officers involved in the case is being investigated by Internal Affairs. Prosecutors filed a notice saying the state became aware of a potential Brady giglio material that refers to a constitutional obligation to ensure a fair trial and to disclose material that could impact a finding of guilty. Now, the prosecutor does not say what the information is, or if it involves this case specifically or just an officer who is involved in the case. We did try to get clarification, but because of a gag order, no one involved in the case can answer any of our questions.
This is Jamal, true love. Jamal was wrongfully accused of murdering his friend by the prosecutor, Kamala Harris, who is now the vice president. This happened in San Francisco in the Bay Area. He was wrongfully accused. He spent a couple of years in jail wrongfully. And he sued the Bay Area prosecutor and the city, and he won $13.5 million. What happens when somebody is wrongfully charged, especially for a murder of their own best friend, and they had nothing to do with it? It happens quite often. Nobody is above the law, and nobody should be above the law. The police officers in this case committed a Brady offense. We have to make sure that people are given a chance to a fair trial. And this is something that is actually happening, I believe, personally, in the case of Brian Christopher Kohberger. He's entitled to a fair trial. We can already see that one of the police investigators in this case is under investigation by the Internal Affairs team. We don't know if it is for this case of Brian Kohberger or for a previous case. But that is gigolo in a Brady's offense. Prosecutors are entitled to give all the evidence that they have in a case. Others, young, innocent people end up going to jail. And we don't want that to happen, because we want justice for the 4 victims, and we want the correct people to be charged for it. Others will end up with young men losing their freedom or even getting the death penalty. So I believe personally, if Ann Taylor doesn't get the evidence she's entitled to, it's going to become a more serious matter. Look at the YNW Melly's case. The prosecutor has been discharged. She's been removed out of the case because she was aware of the evidence that the investigator collected illegally. So this is really sad and terrible. Nobody's above the law, and nobody should be above the law.
Trial for rapper YNW Melly. A Florida judge sided with Melly's defense team and pulled lead prosecutor Christine Bradley off the case. It's a huge win for the rapper's defense, who claimed Bradley allegedly covered up a report that the investigation's lead detective had asked a Broward County Sheriff's deputy to lie about being present while serving a search warrant.
You put it all together. It was a mistrial. They hid Brady material. Making Mr. Demons go through another trial is a violation of double jeopardy. Jeopardy should have attached because of what occurred.
Broward County Circuit Court Judge John Murphy granted the defense motion out of an abundance of caution, stating he didn't find Bradley's integrity had been compromised, but agreed that since the defense plans to call Christine Bradley to testify as a witness in the upcoming retrial, she could no longer serve as a prosecutor.
The issue of credibility of the statement. You're bringing in witnesses, right, that are testifying to something that they weren't party to. Ms. Bradley wasn't there. So for testimony, she was coming in testifying for the collateral issue, where she was not a witness to the initial incident.
So why would a Broward County prosecutor be a defense witness in a double murder retrial? Well, the goal of the defense is to impeach the credibility of Detective Mark Moretti, the lead investigator. The allegations against him stem from when Moretti met with YNW Melly's mother, Jamie King, in October 2022. While questioning her about alleged witness tampering, he executed a search warrant to seize her phone. Assistant State Attorney Michelle Boudreaux, who was a witness to the incident, testified in a hearing last week that she overheard Moretti ask a deputy to lie about being present during the phone seizure.
Detective Moretti said to Deputy Morrell, "You need to say you were here when I served that search warrant." And it was kind of like an awkward moment. Someone described it just kind of getting punched twice in the head. So there's a search warrant that gets served, and I'm like, what's going on? And then the next thing, he's asking this deputy to lie for him. And again, I'm like, this is like, I'm in the twilight, so I'm like, this can't really be happening. Deputy Gorell didn't say anything of any substance. I think he said, "Is there anything I'm needed for anymore?" or something like that. I don't remember if he said anything at all. It was just a very awkward moment.
Do you say anything to Moretti?
No, I don't say anything to Moretti. I leave the room, I'm done with the statement. As far as I'm concerned, I'm done investigating this case.
Why?
Because I don't work with detectives that solicit lies.
Boudreaux said she reported the incident to her direct supervisors and prosecutor Christine Bradley, who testified in the hearing defending Moretti's actions, saying the whole thing was a joke.
Is that true that Detective Moretti said to you that what he said was a joke?
No, what was intended to be conveyed was that Deputy Gorell, his response was flippant in nature. That was the joking aspect of it.
Okay, so if somebody from your office sends out a Brady notice in this case, not authorized but authorized by you, correct?
That's correct.
And in that Brady notice that I just showed you, you're saying that there are incorrect statements of that.
That is correct.
And the incorrect statement is that you were not told by Moretti that he was joking.
That is correct. The indication has always been, and if it was inartfully conveyed in some point, the indication has always been that Deputy Gorell responded in a very flippant manner when asked about showing up.
Flippant manner.
To Detective Moretti.
Does he say that in his court report, Jamal?
I don't believe so.
Okay. So the flippant manner came from Moretti, and somehow you communicated that Moretti said it was a joke. Is that what he did?
I did not say
say that Moretti said that he had made a joke in any way, shape, or form.
So you've never made the statement that Brady said he was joking?
My statement was, at all times, and if it was ever not clear or misinterpreted by whoever was listening to it, was that Deputy Gorell made the statement that was of a flippant nature.
On August 30th, 2022, Christine Bradley filed a Brady notice which requires prosecutors to disclose material and exculpatory information to the defense. But as Michelle Boudreaux testified, the notice made no mention of her statement that Detective Moretti instructed the deputy to lie about being present. It wasn't until nearly a year later in September 2023, months after Judge Murphy declared a mistrial in Melly's first trial, Michelle Boudreaux says she noticed no Brady notice was ever filed and brought it to the attention of the state attorney's office.
We believe that we would have testimony that they were instructing Miss Bradley to file the Brady notice. And this goes back as early as basically in October, November, whenever that was, of 2022. The testimony will show that after they did that, pretty much everybody put their head in the sand. They did not check into things. She went through a whole trial, sat through the trial. Nothing was mentioned about Brady. We find it hard to believe that nobody would have asked her, even after the hung jury, well, how did you handle that Brady issue?
And according to the defense, after Boudreaux brought it back up, Christine Bradley still did not file the notice. Instead, it was filed by another assistant state attorney, Chris Killeran.
That Miss Bradley refused to sign the Brady notice that was prepared by the supervisors in the office, and she refused to sign it. In fact, it was handed to her by her secretary, and she said, "I'm not signing this." And that's why Mr. Killeran from Public Corruptions had to sign that Brady notice.
Once Melly's defense team contacted Boudreaux, Christine Bradley filed the Brady notice concerning Detective Moretti's statement. Then just 2 days later, filed an amended notice stating the incident was a joke and the deputy was trying to be funny. After learning of all that transpired, the defense motioned to remove the entire Broward County Prosecutor's Office and the State Attorney's Office from the case. The judge ultimately denied that motion to recuse the State Attorney's Office. However, in Judge Murphy's order granting the recusal of Prosecutor Christine Bradley, he wrote, given the conflicting Brady notices and Miss Bradley's apparent animus towards Michelle Boudreaux, there is sufficient concern that the defendant will suffer actual prejudice if Christine Bradley continues to serve as a prosecutor in the case. Judge Murphy also wrote, the court is concerned about whether Christine Bradley departed her role as a zealous advocate for the state and is now personally invested in the credibility determinations of Detective Moretti, Michelle Boudreaux, and the outcome of the trial. Right now, it's unclear who will replace